All right, good morning. Happy Friday. It's March 14th. Happy Pi Day. 2025. I'm Anthony. And this is Drive Dive. So you are here, get some productivity tips to kind of get a glimpse of my life and hopefully feel better about yours. Get some lessons and things on productivity, some examples of how I try to be productive and ways in which I'm starting to feel more productive. You know, just the little things I do, how I spend time with the family, projects and things I'm engaged in, maybe how this stuff kind of applies to my professional life, and that's it, right? Just comment down below any thoughts on productivity, any videos you've seen of mine prior, or other content you want me to check out that might help me, help you, etc. Kind of just keep that cycle going. But so as far as my day yesterday, try to recap some of that for you. The usual morning, right? Recording these helps me feel more productive, and then the work day, trying to focus there and make sure I'm locked in as a teacher, grading papers and talking to kids and getting to know them and just teach better, right? Make sure they're understanding the material and they're getting ready for their own, quizzes and such. But then I got the interesting text from my wife that, our daughter is, her eyes are crusty and she needs to get picked up. So, that always throws a wrench into plans. But so thankfully my wife was able to go pick her up, spend the afternoon, late morning and afternoon with her. And then we switched off around, 4 o'clock or so, when my wife works at the gym on Thursday nights. So then got my daughter, picked up my son, and then I was home with the two of them, through dinner and such. And then, my wife gets home, and now we're just trying to, figure things out, right? And keep everybody occupied. But my son and I, we were planning on doing a little video project where I'd stop at Best Buy to get a cable. I have a few cameras I thought would work with the video mixer and things. He wants to do like a card reveal, open up a bunch of Disney Lorcana packs and just, go through those and highlight some of the cards, any rare ones, legendary ones, etc. So we kind of had something like that in mind, but we weren't able to do it until like really late at night, and it was kind of frustrating because it was the first time for me trying to really use all this equipment in that way. Prior to, I was just using the video mixer as he and I are playing video games, each on separate laptops, to kind of go back and forth between our two screens. But now to try to do, two simultaneous, maybe a little picture-in-picture action, I was struggling a little bit. And then by the time we got it, and certain batteries weren't charged and everything like that, by the time we got it all set up, then he's recording and holding up the cards and trying to coach him as far as like holding it closer to the camera while he's reading off the card and everything, and trying to tell him like, dude, you don't have to read the entire card and all these facts and stuff about it. Like, we'll never get through, the whole box, all 24 packs, opening and revealing and opening and revealing. So, and then I was playing around with lighting while we're filming. I was like, oh, it's looking kind of dark, and I set up a ring light nearby, just to better, illuminate some things. And so it's some growing pains, as we're trying to, different formats, different content, but fun, right? Growing pains, but fun, right? Learning can be painful. Failure can be painful, but it is ultimately, learning and growth opportunities, and I guess we'll be better for it in the end. And those things will require definitely more editing than my approach to this content, which is just raw, unedited. There is one little bit that I'm going to try to cut out later, but anyhow, after that experience, I realized I needed to figure out a better way to use, like, I have a Nikon like D, was it 3200, something like that I was trying to use, but started to Google how to better do that. So I learned about dummy batteries and being able to essentially plug that camera into the wall so that I'm not so reliant on the rechargeable battery and limited power that provides. So do that, try to play around with that later, while we maybe record another video of my son opening 24 packs of cards, 12 cards each pack, kind of just going through all that stuff. So we'll see. He's young yet, it's fun to see his maturation, and he'll get the hang of it. He'll speak more confidently, loudly, more clearly, just things that he is working on while we're just having fun, right? And those are things we've said. We want to be good at Disney Lorcana. We're going to be spending all this time playing games and opening cards, and it's like, well, he also wants to be a YouTuber, so I guess we may as well, while we're doing these things anyway, set up the cameras and get it going. Obviously, like I said, some pain we're running into, some growing pains. It's not as simple as just setting up a camera if you're trying to do it a certain way, arguably right. If you're going to do it right, it can take some time, but we'll figure it out. And that's just, that's the fun part. So, on to how to win friends and influence people. The last chapter I read, I got to put a couple of things together where a few chapters combined. The advice in the book is to really take interest in other people. To, one, use their names, smile, greet them using their names, and to take an interest in them by asking questions about them, in conversations with them, prompting them to continue talking about themselves. And the author provides examples of less businessmen, I think, and more, some business, but more politicians, and the lengths they went through sort of on campaign trails of, as they're at different functions, interacting with different people, reaching out to the hosts of those events and asking them to remind them, oh, hey, who did I speak with at this table? Who did I speak with at that table? To then get more notes and information and certainly the names of those people, to then be able to follow up personally with them with some sort of thank you card, handwritten notes, to, I guess, establish those more direct connections and such. And then in this latest chapter, the author talks about the lengths that people would go to now, once I've gotten to know this person and once I've learned they're interested in specific topics, well, now going through the trouble of, okay, they're interested in boats. I don't know anything about boats, but I have this relationship with them. I'm going to visit them, or I've invited them into my home. I know they're interested in boats. I'm going to take the time to do the research to learn about boats so that I can now, perhaps in a more meaningful way, a more back and forth, right? A little less, tell me more, and, oh yes, I have seen this and I've read this, and what are your thoughts on? To be able to just contribute more to that conversation, I guess, about boats. I totally understand it. I appreciate the advice, and I can think of certain contexts in which you might go to those lengths, right? I'm thinking about if you're trying to impress your girlfriend's father right before proposing marriage, and you want to ask him for, his permission, his blessing, right? You may want to do those sorts of things. If you're preparing for a job interview, I think you're doing that with your research on the company, on the stakeholders and decision makers within that organization. You're getting to learn about them, their interests, perhaps, right, the mission statements, etc., the work that they do, so you can speak meaningfully about it, not just about you, or if you're fortunate enough to be able to get an interview where it is a bit more of that conversational approach to prompt those to talk about their interests, but you've already kind of anticipated their interest by doing that research, and now I guess better able to engage in a, like I said, a more meaningful, I am knowledgeable about the things that you're interested in, and I'd be a really valuable member of the team, etc. But otherwise, I felt like if you're kind of doing it to make friends, right? I think there was in this part of the book is talking about, I want to say it was like a child, and an adult was in the home and knew that this child was interested. I do think it was boats, and that man knew in advance the child was interested in boats, so he did some research, and then when he came by, he's talking with the child about the boats. It really impressed the child to the point where he speaks to his mother or grandmother caregiver about how interesting this man was and how awesome it was that he knew so much about boats that he too was excited about. And then the caregiver revealed, like, he doesn't really care about boats. Like, he just, did that to impress you. And I don't know. To me, it's okay. That's really cool they did that, but now does it also come across as like phony or disingenuous? Like, I wouldn't want to necessarily start a relationship off that way, or have an exchange that way. But I don't know. Maybe that does work. I'm not sure. I guess I'd have to try it, right? But I don't know. I think I'm more about like I said, I think in yesterday's video about this sort of two-way dialogue and conversational approach of you're listening for someone to say something that you can then latch onto or ask a follow-up question on. And it's okay to, I think, revisit a prior conversation. Like, I have a custodian at work who, as we're talking about weather, right, is a safe topic, everyone can relate to the weather and talk about it. He would often say that, oh man, I'm waiting for great weather this weekend. It's going to warm up. I like to wash my car. And it dawned on me, right, when he says something like that, I'm like, oh, you know what? I never asked him. So I approached him and I said, hey man, I've been meaning to ask you. You said you like to wash your car. What kind of car do you drive? And so then he gets into washing it and keeping it clean. And I talk about how, I signed up for a monthly membership. And then he gets into, the automated car washes and, scratching up your paint, and you can restore it, but you can only do that so many times. Clear, like, he's revealing that he's so, very knowledgeable about maintaining the exterior of the car for sure. And then he approaches me the next day to say, like, hey, if you ever need that work done, and reveals that he's got this whole side gig and everything. So it's just an interesting approach. I think I like that better. Right now, I'm not going to go and do the research myself and talk about, different processes to maintain the clear coat and color, whatever, of a car, and etc. But now that I realize he is, an expert, he can be that go-to guy for me if I do ever need that work done, or have a friend who needs that work done, or if I have other questions about car maintenance and such. He might be knowledgeable on that subject, or know other people, right? I don't think there's a need for me to now spend that time learning those things myself, right? If you knew everything and could do everything, well then you wouldn't need other people. But that's not what this is about, right? This is about needing other people, connecting with other people, and finding ways to do that. So it's just an interesting one where I don't necessarily agree with the author Carnegie on this particular one about doing all this research, but maybe for, like I said, specific context. But I don't know. Comment down below if and when you've done that, done some research on a particular topic in preparation, maybe for a particular event, or for a conversation. But I think that's it. That's what I've got. I think I feel productive. And yesterday, again, it's like there are things that I didn't get to do, like work out. There's still laundry sitting in the dryer for me to fold, and things that I'll get to, right? But I'm looking forward to, I think, a busy, productive weekend, and upload this video, do a sort of a compilation video of this week's. I think I'll try recording a video after I rewatch all of them, so then I can provide some kind of introductory overview. But that's it for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Any insights or feedback you'd like to share, comment down below. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, happy Friday. Get some $3.14 pizza at 7-Eleven if you haven't heard about that promotional offer for Pi Day. And yeah, make it a great weekend. I'll see you. Take care.